Are you ready to meet your first job of the night?
Yay!
Please welcome to stage Marcus John!
Good evening! How are all this evening? I know you've seen it already, but I just want to check. How are we?
Good.
There's no broken hearts out there, it's all okay. I'm Marcus. Maybe advance the slides, please, if that's all right. Sorry, I don't have a clicker. Do I have a clicker?
Hold on.
Oh, there is a clicker! Woo! I'm very excited. Let's see if this works. No. Okay. I'm just wasting time here, it's all fine. Anyone?
No?
Yeah, can we just...
Will come and save you.
Please. Excellent.
This always happens with the first one. Don't know what it is about Bristol, it has a magic effect on PowerPoint.
Well, I said I wouldn't keep to time, so I'm just guaranteeing it right now.
Don't worry, I'll go and
Excellent,
reset your
thank you.
timer so that you can not stick to time more accurately.
Anyway, so I'm Marcus. I'm a third-year PhD student at the University of Bath. Excellent. And my specialist area is tissue engineering, and no, that does not mean I work for Kleenex. So most people would call me a scientist, although my cousin generally calls me a waste of time, money and space. I wish they'd just call me a waste of resources, it would save some of their own. And as a scientist, there are two things in the world that I hold in the highest regard, that, without which, governments would fail, societies we know it would just collapse into chaos, and they are, of course, sex and booze. My apologies, I think my autocue failed there. I was meant to say facts and statistics, much more interesting. But as you're such a captive audience, stuck in this lovely room with me as your tormentor, I'm not going to give you just one, but two statistics, okay? Are we ready for this?
Yeah.
Good. So for the first one, I'd like you to cast your minds back to the 1970s. I realise none of you were actually born in the 1970s, but if you think like long hair and flares, I think you're going to be okay. So in the 1970s, if you had a heart attack, there was a 70% chance that you would die. Now, if we fast forward till present day, if you have a heart attack, there's a 10% chance that you'll survive. Excellent, that's called medical progress. It's brilliant stuff. However, coronary heart disease is responsible for 1 in 6 deaths in the UK, which basically makes it the most lethal killer in the UK. And if you hadn't put 2 and 2 together, a heart attack is basically the primary outcome of coronary heart disease. So what this means is that on the one hand, there's a 70% chance that you're going to survive a heart attack. On the other hand, there's a 15% chance that you're going to die from a heart attack. We want to make that a bit simpler. On the one hand, you're quite likely to survive a heart attack. On the other, the one event that is going to kill you is a heart attack. Going to survive a heart attack, going to die from a heart attack. Don't know about you, but I get a little bit confused about this. Fortunately, science is here to save the day. I can't quite go into the full details of how a heart attack happens. I generally don't have the time. We're stuck on 9 minutes. I should have pointed that out. But essentially, whilst you might not die from the heart attack, the muscle cells in your heart will. And so what this means is that you kind of get scar tissue forming, and this essentially means that your heart can't function as well as it used to. So if we then go back to our 7% survival rate from a heart attack, what this means is that your first heart attack, you're probably going to survive, but there's a little bit of scar tissue there. Your second heart attack, the light that you see will be the dawn of tomorrow rather than the light at the end of the tunnel, but that scar tissue is getting a bit larger. And after your third or fourth heart attack, well, that scar tissue has got too large, your heart kind of decides to give up totally, death comes knocking, and you become part of yet another statistic. It's tragic stuff. And so this kind of got me thinking, why doesn't medicine sort its life out and actually do something about this, save a few lives? and before I turn into Jeremy Hunt and start laying into the NHS, I would like to issue a disclaimer. I actually have complete respect for the entire medical profession. Without them, my dad would be dead, although I would have my inheritance. It's all right, my dad gets on fine with me. He did actually approve the joke after I'd already told it at another event. But what I'm trying to get at is that when it comes to actually repairing damaged organs, I'm reminded of the Monty Python sketch involving the surgeons. There's a lot of shouting of, "Nurse! Nurse!" and hitting things with large wooden blunt objects. Essentially, at the moment, we kind of try and use chemical or physical means to solve a biological problem, when really we want a biological solution. So this is where tissue engineering comes in. Now, you may ask, what is tissue engineering?
What is tissue engineering?
Someone's still alive, so I'm glad you asked. Tissue engineering is basically a series of cell-based therapies that aim to either restore, repair, or improve the function of our organs or tissues, such as our bones or our muscles. Now, fortunately, this is quite a complicated process, but I do have another slide for this. Here we are. Here we go. I'm afraid there's been a few text issues there, but I'm sure you're intelligent people, you can read them. So, as you can see here, the first thing we need are some cells. And the best thing for this are stem cells. Now, I know some of you are thinking, oh great, I'm in the same room as an unborn baby killer. But I can assure you I'm not. Actually, we don't necessarily need embryonic stem cells these days. We can get stem cells from fully grown adults. So we can get them from our bone marrow, our teeth, or our fat cells. Now, I think that all reality TV stars are probably celebrating about this, because they can maintain their 2D image whilst saving people's lives, you know? You can kind of imagine the Gossip magazine exclusives already. Save 5 people's lives, lost £10. So that's great, we can get these cells, but the problem is that we can't grow a whole organ from the cells we can extract from one person. Well, we probably could, but they might be dead, we don't want that. So, we then need to get into this whole area of increasing the number of cells that we actually have. This is actually quite a serious business. There's a lot of maths and physics involved. There's stuff like fluid dynamics, bioreactors, mass and heat transfer. It's very serious, but what I can say is that it's an expanding business. I'll leave you to think about that joke, don't worry. It's fine. But once we've got these cells, we get to the area that I like to think of as the triforce of tissue engineering. It's 3 separate components that when brought together, we release the ultimate power. So obviously the first part is our cells. The second thing we need are growth factors. These are basically proteins that we find in our bodies that basically tell our cells when and how to grow, how to function properly. And then we need a material to put these cells on actually to grow the organ. So if we have the right cells and the right growth factors and the right material, hopefully we can actually grow a whole new organ in the lab and implant that into our patient, and then we can save their lives and not require organ donation lists, which would be brilliant, you know. However, there is a slight problem, and it's these lovely smiley creatures at the bottom there, the growth factors, because we kind of need them to come from an animal source because they're proteins. And I mean, I would suggest that we should farm them from humans, but I think the UN might have a few issues with that. So this means we have to get them from somewhere else, and we either have them from cows or pigs. Now, I can see a couple of issues with this. First of all, it's very expensive to do the whole extraction process, etc. But, you know, there's a few ethical issues, because, you know, the Jews probably don't want their proteins to come from a pig. And the Hindus probably don't want it from a cow, and the Muslims probably will want it halal, and the Christian scientists, well, they're already going to be dead. Now, allow me to explain myself a bit here. I don't mean scientists are Christian. What I actually mean is the subsect of Christianity called Christian scientists, who basically reject all forms of medicine believing that the power of prayer will solve their illness. Believe it or not, this was once the fastest growing religion in America. That is until people realised that it wasn't actually curing their disease, and the state started prosecuting ex-parents for manslaughter. Not a good thing. But, so essentially what we want to do is remove these growth factors actually from the whole process. And in order to do that, we really need a material that A, will allow the cells to attach to it, and that will actually be biocompatible. So we can put it straight into our bodies and allow the growth factors that are already present there to actually do the work and repair our tissue. And that is where my research comes in. Yeah, so I would explain that, but I think it'll take about 3 years. Thank you.